In this lesson, we're going to learn about the differences between Bitcoin, Ether, and POL. We'll talk about bridging between networks, wrapped tokens, and particularly wrapped Ether. We're talking about a real place, but the story used is fiction to help make the concepts easier to understand. We're visiting a place called the Three Frontiers, where there are three cities where Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay meet. In the beginning, there was one casino on the Argentinian side of the border. To prevent counterfeit casino chips, they made their chips from a unique material. There was only enough of it in the universe to make 21 million casino chips. Their casino chips were made on their own special machine that is getting slower and slower at producing them. Argentina began suffering from really high inflation. The value of people's savings fell severely. Due to the limited supply of raw materials and the capacity of their casino chip-making machine, the casino had no choice but to maintain a steady supply of casino chips. While the value of people's cash plummeted with a limited number of casino chips available, the only option the casino had was to increase the value of each chip in Argentine pesos. People in Argentina began to buy and keep chips from the Argentinian casino as a way to store their wealth and avoid inflation. Because of high inflation, the value of property in pesos was constantly changing. People began to think of wealth and property in terms of Argentine casino chips. Due to inflation and supply and demand, the value of Argentine casino chips increased dramatically over a relatively short period. We can think of these Argentine casino chips as being like Bitcoin. For starters, the physical token shown here isn't a Bitcoin, it's a marketing gimmick. Bitcoin is the first successful decentralized cryptocurrency. It is sometimes abbreviated as BTC. Bitcoin exists on the Bitcoin cryptocurrency network. Some trade-offs were made in the design of the Bitcoin network. It has less speed and functionality than other networks, but it's extremely reliable, secure, and decentralized. The Bitcoin network is a network of computers that validate and record transactions on the Bitcoin blockchain. Bitcoin is the name of the native cryptocurrency token of the Bitcoin network. The smallest unit of Bitcoin is called a Satoshi, or SAT for short. One Bitcoin is worth 100 million Satoshis. First mover advantage, its security and level of decentralization has made Bitcoin the dominant cryptocurrency. Bitcoin is often used for its security and reliability as a long-term store of wealth. Let's go back to Argentina. People from other countries began buying Argentine casino chips as a way to store their wealth and avoid inflation. Business people in Brazil noticed the success of the Argentine casino and decided to build their own casino. The Brazilian casino began allowing people to buy art with their casino chips. This became very popular, and a thriving art scene developed around the Brazilian casino. People would come from Argentina and Paraguay to buy art. People began to value art in terms of Brazilian casino chips. The Brazilian casino also had a lot of innovation in payment technology and finance. This created a thriving ecosystem. The Brazilian casino couldn't cope with demand. They were faced with a choice between increasing their capacity and becoming more exclusive by increasing their fees. They decided to increase their capacity to handle more customers, but they knew demand was so overwhelming that they couldn't accommodate everyone, so they also increased their fees. This made it less appealing for transactions and art of lower value. We can think of these Brazilian casino chips as being like Ether. Ether is the native token of the Ethereum network. It is often abbreviated as ETH. Ether is often mistakenly called Ethereum, but the correct name for the cryptocurrency token is Ether, while the name of the network is Ethereum. The Ethereum network is not quite as secure or decentralized as the Bitcoin network. It was the first blockchain to successfully introduce a programmable blockchain, where smart contracts could be used to automate tasks and agreements without needing any human intervention once all parties agree to them. The Ethereum network is often used for its smart contract functionality. It has been the primary network for NFTs and decentralized finance, or DeFi as it is commonly called. The demand for the functionality of the Ethereum network exceeded the capacity of the network. This led to network congestion, backlogs in transactions getting added to the blockchain, and high gas fees. The smallest unit of Ether is the Wei, where 1 Ether equals 1 quintillion or 1 billion Wei. Again, the physical coin shown here doesn't have any value. Let's go back to the Three Frontiers. This time we'll visit Paraguay. In Paraguay, business people began to notice the success of the Brazilian casino. They began investing in building their own casino with greater capacity than the Brazilian casino. They built dedicated sections to accommodate trading of art and also financial services. The greater capacity of the casino in Paraguay meant they could charge much lower service fees to their guests than the Brazilian casino, although there was still plenty of demand for the Brazilian casino. We can think of these Paraguayan casino chips as being like POL. POL is the native token of the Polygon blockchain network. POL used to be called Matic, but the token was renamed when they upgraded the Polygon network. The Polygon network has the same smart contract functionality as the Ethereum network. It has typically much lower gas fees and has faster transaction speeds than the Ethereum network. This makes the Polygon network an attractive alternative to the Ethereum network for NFTs, DeFi, and smart contracts. The smallest unit of POL is the Wei, where 1 POL equals 1 quintillion or 1 billion Wei. You may have noticed the same name is used for the smallest unit of POL as the smallest unit of Ether. They both share the name Wei. Although they share the same name, each has a different value. This is similar to, in Europe, 100 cent equals €1, while in the US, 100 cents equals $1, but 1 US cent is not equal in value to 1 euro cent. Let's go back to the three frontiers. Because casinos in each country had their own advantages, people would like to travel between them. Locals from Paraguay and tourists seeking better value would have a good feel for the value of Paraguayan casino chips. People who were concerned with wealth would have a good feel for the value of Argentine casino chips. People who went to the Brazilian casino would have a good feel for the value of Brazilian casino chips. People who are more familiar with the value of casino chips from one casino would want to use those chips in all of the other casinos. This didn't work for the casinos. It would have made it very messy and complicated for them to manage. They didn't want to train a lot of their staff how to identify and authenticate the value of other casino chips. The potential for getting defrauded with counterfeit chips would become very high. They also didn't want to lose customers. Casinos started a system where at the cash desk, they would exchange chips from other casinos for chips of equivalent value in their own casino. They called these wrapped chips. This meant they could use all of their own systems to detect counterfeits, but customers would still have a feel for the value of the chips without getting confused. If we consider each of these casinos to be like a different cryptocurrency network, although some people state it, you can't move a token from one network to another network. For example, you can't move Bitcoin or Ethereum onto the Polygon network. What you can do is exchange it for a digital token on the other network of equivalent value. This is similar to bringing chips from the Argentinian casino to the Brazilian casino and exchanging your casino chips for wrapped chips of equivalent value at the cash desk. In cryptocurrency, this process is called wrapping or bridging. So, if you wanted to move the value of a POL token from the Polygon network to the Ethereum network, you would exchange your POL token for wrapped POL on the Ethereum network. Sometimes this is called wrapped POL, or written as WPOL for short. Similarly, you can bridge Ether to the Polygon network or other networks. In the example of bridging it to the Polygon network, we call this new token wrapped Ether on the Polygon network. Sometimes this is called wrapped Ether, or written as WETH for short. Wrapped Ether is a special case. We stated earlier that Ether is the native token of the Ethereum network, and all gas fees are paid using Ether on the Ethereum network. But after the Ethereum network and the Ether token were created, they wanted to make things better. A token with more advanced smart contract functionality was created on the Ethereum network. This is also called wrapped Ether. Wrapped Ether tokens on the Ethereum network have the same monetary value as Ether tokens, but they don't have the same functionality. Although wrapped Ether tokens have extra smart contract functionality, they can't be used to pay gas fees on the Ethereum network. Only Ether tokens can be used to pay gas fees on the Ethereum network. So, you can have wrapped Ether on the Ethereum, Polygon, Avalanche, and many other blockchain networks. Wrapped Ether on the Ethereum network can't be used on the Polygon network or Avalanche network or other blockchain networks. Wrapped Ether on the Ethereum network can only be used on the Ethereum network. Similarly, wrapped Ether on the Polygon network can only be used on the Polygon network. Wrapped Polygon on the Ethereum network can only be used on the Ethereum network. It can't be used on the Polygon or Avalanche or any other networks. So, there are multiple wrapped tokens on different networks. You need to use the correct token for the network you are using. If you don't have the correct token for the network you want to use, you need to bridge your token to the correct network. You can think of Bitcoin as the store of value network, Ethereum as the NFT and smart contract network with high gas fees, and Polygon as the NFT and smart contract network with low gas fees and faster transaction speeds. Although some people state it, you can't move Bitcoin onto the Ethereum or Polygon network. You can exchange it for what is called a wrapped token on the other network, which has the same value. As Reddit collectible avatars are on the Polygon POS or Proof of Stake blockchain, they are sold on a secondary market for tokens on the Polygon POS network. This means on the secondary market, they are generally sold for POL or wrapped Ether on the Polygon POS network. If you found this helpful, like, subscribe and hit that bell to learn more about RCAs, NFTs and crypto.